そうですね。思いっきり放射能が来てる可能性があるところに勤務してるから、いつ戻れるか。
工業で避難者の、誘導やってました。で爆発が起きたので郡山に一時教員同士で逃げてきました。
そこで説明を受けて並ぶだけでできますので。
Rescue efforts continue for people stranded on the roofs of buildings and other places in affected areas. A person who was saved has revealed how she escaped the tsunami.
Self-Defense Forces personnel have been bringing survivors in Miyagi Prefecture to their hospital in Sendai via helicopter. The hospital has treated about 50 survivors so far. Tomoko Ito is a 34-year-old housewife who lives in a coastal area of Natori City. She escaped the tsunami by evacuating to a pedestrian bridge while carrying her 5-month-old baby.
When I got home, I had a neighbor shouting, "A tsunami is coming." When I got out of the house, I saw the tsunami approaching. An elementary school, the designated evacuation site, was too far, so I fled to a footbridge.
She says tsunami waves reached as close as 1 meter beneath the pedestrian bridge. She adds she was scared when she saw large debris, including cars and parts of houses, being carried away by the wave.
We were soaking wet. Other people who fled to the footbridge helped to keep us warm. We are all right thanks to their help. I'm relieved that my baby was not harmed.
The scale of the damage from Friday's earthquake and tsunami is becoming clearer as rescue and relief efforts move into high gear. A tsunami wave slammed into the coast, crushing buildings. Nearly all areas of Rikuzen Takata City in Iwate Prefecture were devastated. Most of the buildings in the area were demolished. Some concrete structures survived. At an emergency shelter, people were desperately searching for the names of family members in the evacuees list.
おじいさんが一歩遅れたので来ないんですよ。あとはうちは全部流されました。
息子の嫁さんです。避難場所わかんないんだ。それ探してんだけど。
Residents rushed to the Soma City Hall in Fukushima Prefecture seeking information about the whereabouts of loved ones.
息子が津波に巻き込まれた可能性がありまして、どこかに避難してるかと思って必死に夜中から探してるんですけど。
A massive fire broke out on Friday in Kesenuma City, Miyagi Prefecture. Smoke was still billowing on Saturday morning. Firefighters had a difficult time battling the blaze as they had to evacuate every time a tsunami struck. In the coastal town of Shinchi in Fukushima, a tsunami swept train cars off the tracks. All passengers and crew were reportedly safe as they had evacuated in time. Some people were rescued by helicopter. Rescue work is picking up speed. Firefighters, police, and self-defense force personnel are working to find and rescue survivors across the quake-ravaged areas. Rescue teams from South Korea and Singapore have arrived in Tokyo. South Korea's National Emergency Management Agency sent a team with rescue dogs. They arrived at Haneda Airport on a civilian flight shortly before 3 p.m. on Saturday. Following the South Korean team, 5 Singaporeans with 5 rescue dogs arrived at the airport in the evening. They headed straight to Fukushima Prefecture, where they will begin work on Sunday. U.S. military units have begun relief activities. So far, 56 countries and regions have offered support to the Japanese government. The number of fatalities and the scale of destruction is mounting by the hour, all caused by the magnitude 8.8 quake and the ensuing powerful tsunami waves. The tremor is the largest on record in Japan. More than 680 people have been confirmed dead, and the death toll could reach more than 1,000. The northern prefecture of Miyagi was hit hardest. The quake there measured the highest intensity of 7 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami pounded Sendai City, washing inland 10 kilometers. Police say along the number of dead, 400 to 500 bodies have yet to be identified. In other parts of Miyagi Prefecture, 178 people have been confirmed dead.
Welcome to NHK Newsline. I'm Keikichi Hanada in Tokyo. As we have been reporting, an explosion was heard at the nuclear power plant in Fukushima Prefecture, north of Tokyo, on a Saturday afternoon. The government's Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency says the radioactive elements cesium and iodine, both a product of nuclear fission, have been detected around the Fukushima No. 1 plant. The Tokyo Electric Power Company says 4 workers were injured. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yukio Edano has told reporters that the explosion did not trigger a huge leakage of radioactive materials. He emphasized that the reactor's container was not damaged.
We've confirmed that the explosion at the Fukushima No. 1 plant did not take place in the reactor's container. The blast occurred because the building's walls fell down. Measurements show that the amount of radioactive material released actually decreased after the explosion, so radiation levels are not rising.
Edano said the Tokyo Electric Power Company began pouring seawater into the container to cool down the reactor at 8:20 p.m. local time. He says that if the procedure is successfully completed, the problem of the power plant will be resolved. People have been advised to evacuate from areas within 20 kilometers of the power station. Fukushima Prefecture says it received instructions to widen the zone from the Prime Minister's office at around 6:30 p.m. Fukushima Prefecture says that 3 patients at the hospital near the damaged nuclear power plant have been found to be exposed to radiation. The authorities made the discovery after randomly testing 3 out of 90 people. Authorities added they would need to be decontaminated, but as of this time, they have no health problems. They also say there is no clear evidence that a radiation exposure was caused by the earthquake-damaged reactor. The government's Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency has explained why the government ordered a larger evacuation area covering 20 kilometers. A spokesperson for the Nuclear Safety Agency held a news conference early on Sunday. He said they were trying hard to prevent the release of radioactivity. He added, in a worst-case scenario, the area surrounding the plant would be deeply affected.
There is no immediate danger in sight, but the radius was expanded to 20 kilometers, just in case.
All nuclear power plants have some form of backup water system in case of an emergency. But as we've been reporting, the system failed at that nuclear power plant in Fukushima Prefecture. The mechanism to cool the reactor is called ECCS, or the Emergency Core Cooling System. ECCS is made up of a series of systems designed to safely shut down the nuclear reactor during serious accidents. It provides emergency cooling water to the core of the reactor to keep it from overheating. Under normal conditions, heat is removed from a nuclear reactor by condensing steam after it passes through a turbine. The condensed steam is then fed back into the reactor and through the heat exchanger, which keeps the reactor core at a constant temperature. The quake-hit Fukushima No. 1 plant has a total of 13 diesel generators to operate the ECCS. But the operator of the plant, Tokyo Electric Power Company, says all the generators failed because of the quake. Japanese Prime Minister Naoto Kan held a news conference in Tokyo on Saturday night.
Saving people's lives must be our first priority. We must do all that we are able to do to save as many lives as we can now. I've asked the Defense Minister to consider increasing the number of self-defense forces personnel taking part in rescue efforts around the country to more than 50,000.
Prime Minister Kan said because the quake and tsunami waves were far beyond what the government expected, the power plant's disaster prevention systems were not able to cope. Kan said the government has been prioritizing the safety of local residents. The number of fatalities and the scale of destruction is mounting by the hour, all caused by the magnitude 8.8 quake and the ensuing powerful tsunami waves. The tremor is the largest on record in Japan. More than 680 people have been confirmed dead, and the death toll could reach more than 1,000. The northern prefecture of Miyagi was hit hardest. The quake there measured an intensity of 7 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami pounded Sendai City, washing inland 10 kilometers. Police say among the number of dead, 400 to 500 bodies have yet to be identified. In other parts of Miyagi Prefecture, 178 people have been confirmed dead. Rescue and identification efforts are being slowed because much of the area is underwater. In Kesennuma City, a fire engulfed much of the Bay Area. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency says the flames may have been sparked after oil leaked from a tank following a tsunami. In a neighboring Fukushima Prefecture, 206 people have been confirmed dead. A tsunami higher than 7.3 meters hit a port in the prefecture. Wide stretches of the coastline are still flooded. The Meteorological Agency says many tidal stations on the coastal areas of Tohoku, Hokkaido and Kanto